What if that nagging feeling in the back of your neck was real? What if those hands reaching out from the dark that you believed were there were there? What if the monster in the basement really existed? And what if there was really something under the bed? Would you have the courage to face your fears?
The meat in my bucket sloshes as I make my way down the big cat row, the morning sun barely cresting over the eastern wall of the zoo. Something feels off today. The animals are restless. Even the usually lazy lions are pacing, their tails twitching with agitation. I've worked at the Riverside Zoo long enough to know when the animals sense trouble. "Hey, Marcus!" I call out to my coworker, who's supposed to be handling the primates this morning. No response. Weird. He's usually chatty, especially during the morning feed. I'm at the tiger enclosure when I hear the first scream. It's distant, coming from the direction of the main entrance, but it's unlike anything I've heard in my 15 years here. Not the excited shriek of kids seeing the elephants for the first time, or even the startled yelp when the gibbons get too rowdy. This is primal, terrified. The radio at my hip crackles. "All personnel! Immediate evacuation! Security breach at..." Static drowns out the rest. I grab for my radio, but before I can respond, I hear more screams, closer now, and running. Lots of running. I drop the bucket and sprint to the nearest service door, fumbling with my keyring. Through the chain link fence that separates the staff area from the public walkway, I see them. People running, stumbling, falling. Behind them, Jesus Christ. Behind them are others, moving wrong, all wrong. Their gait's uneven, jerky, but they're fast, so fast. One of the runners goes down. I want to look away but can't. The pursuers descend on them like vultures on carrion, and the screaming stops too suddenly. My hands are shaking so bad I drop the keys. As I bend to grab them, I hear Marcus's voice. "Help. Someone." It's coming from the primate house. I have a choice to make. The service door leads to my truck in the staff parking lot. Marcus is in the opposite direction, past where those things are feeding, past where that person just... The tigers are still pacing, more agitated than ever. The bucket of meat lies spilled by their enclosure. I look at my keys, then at the primate house, then at my keys again. I make my decision. I grab the fallen bucket, scooping up what meat I can, and run. Not toward the service door or the primate house, but toward the zoo's veterinary building. It's closer than either, built like a bunker, and most importantly, it has phones, supplies, and enough locks to give me time to think. As I run, I hear Marcus scream one last time. The sound will haunt me forever, but I don't stop. I can't stop. The heavy door of the vet building slams behind me, and I throw every lock into place. Through the narrow window, I watch those things shuffle past, drawn by some other sound, some other victim. My radio crackles again, just static this time. I sink to the floor, my back against the cold metal door, the bloody bucket still clutched in my trembling hands. I'm alive. For now. But as I hear the distant sound of sirens and more screams, I know with crushing certainty that my world, everyone's world, just changed forever. And this is only the beginning. The vet building's emergency lights cast everything in a sickly green glow. Main power must have gone out while I was having my breakdown by the door. I've been here, what, an hour? The watch on my wrist says 8:47 a.m. Feels like days. I force myself to move. First things first, inventory. Dr. Chen always ran this place like she was expecting the apocalypse. Turns out she wasn't so crazy after all. The cabinets yield a decent first aid kit, some protein bars she kept for long surgeries, and, thank God, bottles of water. In the back room, I even find a sleeping bag from the overnight observation shifts. A rattling sound makes me freeze. Through the window, I see one of those things bumping against the outer fence of the lion enclosure. The big male, Kenzo, is watching it with unusual intensity. I've seen that look before, right before feeding time. My radio's been silent for 20 minutes now. I try the landline instead, but it's dead. My cell phone shows no service. Of course not. That's how these things always go in the movies, right? The thought almost makes me laugh. Almost. A crash from somewhere in the zoo snaps me back to reality. It sounded like breaking glass, followed by, oh no. Those are monkey screams. The primates must have gotten loose. Part of me hopes Marcus somehow survived and freed them, but I know better. I heard his final scream. Something thumps against the vet building's back door. Then again. And again. My heart nearly stops until I realize the rhythm is all wrong for those shuffling things outside. Looking through the small back window, I see what's making the noise. Pepper, one of our elderly security dogs, trying to get in. Another choice. The dog could attract attention, both from those things and any survivors. But I can't just leave her out there. I crack the door open just enough. Pepper slips in silently. All that training paying off. She's trembling, her muzzle flecked with... I don't want to know. I check her for injuries, finding only a small cut on her leg. As I clean it, I notice her ears perk up. A shadow passes by the front window. Then another. Not the jerky movement of the infected. These are coordinated. Human. I hear whispered voices. Has to be supplies in here. Just break the window. What if there's more of them inside? Pepper growls softly. I reach for the tranq gun I found earlier in Dr. Chen's desk. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. The door handle starts to turn. I've already failed one person today. I'm not about to let these scavengers take away my only safe place. Not when the sun's still high and those things are still out there. Not when I can hear distant screams and gunfire getting closer. I level the tranq gun at the door and steady my breathing. Pepper takes position beside me, her training kicking in. Together we wait. The door begins to open. The door swings open, and I'm face to face with Kelly from guest services. Her pristine uniform is splattered with blood, her name tag crooked. Behind her, Simon from maintenance hefts a crowbar. They both freeze when they see the tranq gun. Jesus, Sarah! It's you! Kelly breathes, lowering the box cutter she's holding. We've been looking for other staff. I keep the gun raised. How do I know you're not infected? The infected don't pick locks, Simon says dryly, showing me a ring of keys. Or use tools, or talk. Fair point. I lower the gun, and Pepper's growl turns into a friendly whine as she recognizes them. The tight knot in my chest loosens slightly. That's when we hear the glass break upstairs. We all look up at the ceiling. The vet building has a second floor, mostly storage and a small lab. Something's moving up there. The window, Kelly whispers. The one over the storage room roof. We need to go, Simon says, adjusting his grip on the crowbar. Now. But I'm already shaking my head. The front lot is overrun. I've been watching. The infected are... A body crashes through the stairwell door, tumbling down the steps. It's Dr. Chen. Was Dr. Chen. Her coat is shredded, and she's moving with that same terrible jerking motion I saw earlier. Behind her, more shadows lurch down the stairs. Back door! I shout, grabbing my backpack of supplies. We run, but Kelly stumbles, and Dr. Chen's grasping hands catch her ankle. I spin around with the tranq gun, but Simon's crowbar gets there first. The wet crunch turns my stomach. We burst into the sunlight. The sounds draw more infected from around the corner of the building. But worse, so much worse, is what I see by the big cat enclosures. The fence is down. Kenzo, our male lion, stands over something I refuse to look at too closely. His mane is dark with blood. When he turns his head toward us, his eyes hold none of the recognition I'm used to seeing. This isn't our laid-back lion anymore. This is an apex predator who's remembered what freedom tastes like. The tunnel, I gasp. Maintenance tunnel. It connects to the aquarium building. I'd only used it once, during a flood 2 years ago. Simon nods. He helped build it. We run. The infected lurch after us. Somewhere behind them, I hear Kenzo's roar. Pepper leads the way, her training making her invaluable as she guides us around dangers I can barely process. An orangutan watches us from atop the now empty snack bar, eating abandoned hot dogs with one hand, while absently dropping a human femur with the other. The tunnel entrance is hidden behind a fake rock formation. Simon's keys shake as he tries to find the right one. The infected are getting closer. Kelly grabs the box cutter I'd forgotten she had and stands ready beside me. I aim the tranq gun, knowing it's nearly useless. But it's all we have. Got it! Simon yells as the lock clicks open. We dive in. The heavy door slams behind us. Emergency lights flicker to life, revealing a long concrete passage. We can hear muffled pounding from outside. It'll hold, Simon pants. It's reinforced. For flooding. What about the other end? Kelly asks. Before anyone can answer, a different sound echoes down the tunnel, from the direction of the aquarium. A scream, then another, and splashing. Lots of splashing. We all look at each other in the dim emergency lighting. The tunnel suddenly feels very small, very tight, and we're trapped in the middle. Did anyone check if the aquarium tanks were secure? I ask quietly. Simon's face goes pale. They were doing maintenance on the shark tank yesterday. The screams get louder. The tunnel feels like it's getting narrower with each step. Our flashlight beams bounce off the wet concrete walls, creating shifting shadows that make me flinch. The screams have stopped. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. The shark tank was under maintenance, Simon whispers as we creep forward. They were fixing a crack in the observation window. Had it drained halfway. Which means the sharks would be stressed, agitated. I've seen enough feeding frenzies to know what that means. What else was due for maintenance? The seal gates. Kelly's voice shakes. The locks were corroding from the salt water. A splash echoes ahead, followed by a gurgling sound that raises the hair on my neck. Pepper's ears are flat against her head, but she stays close to my leg, still protecting despite her fear. We reach the tunnel's end. The door to the aquarium's basement level is ajar, water trickling through the gap. The floor beyond is covered in 2 inches of water. We can go back, Kelly suggests, but a distant roar from the zoo reminds us that Kenzo is still out there, and the infected. We're trapped between predators. Simon raises his crowbar and pushes the door wider. The hinges cry out in the darkness. The aquarium's basement is a maze of support systems. Filters, pumps, and narrow walkways between deep maintenance pools. Emergency lights reflect off the water, creating an eerie blue glow. The air smells of salt and something metallic. We splash forward, each step echoing. A pipe has burst somewhere, spraying water in a fine mist. Through it, I see shapes floating in one of the maintenance pools. I force myself not to look too closely. The stairs to the main level are past the filtration system, Simon says. If we can... Something large moves in the water beside us. Fast. Run! I scream, but Kelly's already ahead of me. She reaches the filtration system first, scrambling onto the raised platform. Simon and I are right behind her, hauling ourselves up as Pepper leaps to safety. A bull shark, 9 feet of muscle and teeth, shoots past where we were standing. It's swimming freely between the maintenance pools, the dividing walls broken. In the larger pool beyond, I spot 2 more sharks circling. How? Kelly gasps. The crack must have spread. Whole tank probably burst. Simon's voice is grim. But that's not what killed the power. He's right. The emergency lights flicker again, and in that moment of darkness, we hear it. A wet shuffling coming from the direction of the stairs. Multiple somethings moving in the water. Our flashlights reveal what's left of the maintenance crew. 3 of them. Their waterlogged bodies move with that terrible jerking motion. But underwater, it's somehow worse. more alien. They're blocking our only way up. A shark fin cuts through the water to our left. The infected splash closer on our right. We're trapped on a metal island that's getting smaller by the second. The fish prep room, I say suddenly. It's through that door, higher than this platform. We stored frozen fish there for feeding. And it has a ladder to the main floor, Simon adds, for deliveries. We'll have to cross open water, Kelly points out. Another shark glides past. The infected are 10 feet away now. Blood from their torn bodies clouds the water around them. Maybe they'll eat each other, Kelly suggests half-heartedly. The sharks and infected seem to be ignoring each other completely. No such luck. I unsling my backpack and grab a protein bar. Sharks can smell blood and food, I say, unwrapping it. Maybe we can... The platform shudders. One of the infected has grabbed the edge, pulling its bloated body up. Its clouded eyes meet mine. Behind it, the bull shark turns toward us, drawn by the movement. We're out of time, out of options. I look at the others. In their eyes, I see the same realization. We're about to find out which predator's faster. The protein bar arcs through the air, landing in the far pool with a soft plop. The bull shark's reaction is instant. It whips around, drawn by the disturbance and promise of food. The other sharks follow, their shadows gliding away from our platform. But the infected keep coming. The first one's almost up, its waterlogged fingers clawing at the metal. Simon swings his crowbar, sending it tumbling back into the water. The splash attracts one of the sharks. Good. On my signal, I say, pulling out 2 more protein bars. Kelly, you go first. Simon and I will keep them busy. Pepper, guard. Kelly nods, terror and determination warring on her face. The service dog stands ready, a low growl in her throat. I throw the protein bars in opposite directions. The sharks dart after them, creating chaos in the water. The infected stumble in the currents, momentarily confused. Now! Kelly runs, splashing through the knee-deep water toward the prep room door. One of the infected turns toward her, but Pepper launches from the platform, taking it down in a spray of foul water. My brave girl, the door's locked. Of course it's locked. Kelly fumbles with her keyring as Simon and I hold off 2 more infected with the crowbar, and my now empty trank gun used as a club. A shark fin cuts through the water, heading straight for Pepper. Without thinking, I jump in. The cold water shocks my system, but I grab Pepper's collar, hauling her back toward the platform. Simon's hand catches my shirt, pulling us both up as the shark glides beneath us. Got it! Kelly's voice rings out. The prep room door swings open. Simon goes next, covering the distance in 3 long strides. An infected lunges for him, but the bull shark hits it from behind, dragging it under in a swirl of dark water. Come on! Kelly screams. Pepper and I are last. We're halfway there when I stumble on something underwater. I go down, the salt water burning my eyes and nose. Through the murk, I see shapes moving below. More infected, lying on the bottom, their milky eyes staring up as they reach with grasping hands. Hands grab my shoulders, but these are warm, alive. Simon and Kelly haul me up and into the prep room. Pepper scrambles in after me. We slam the door as a shark slams against it, drawn by our movement. The prep room is elevated, dry. We're all shaking, soaked in water, that I desperately tell myself isn't tainted with infected blood. The metal delivery ladder leads up to a hatch in the ceiling. That was insane! Kelly gasps. That was... The window to the main aquarium tank explodes inward. The maintenance crack must have finally given way. Thousands of gallons of water, and 1 very angry moray eel join us in the prep room. Up! 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 We scramble up the ladder as water rises below us. Simon pushes the hatch open, and we spill out onto the main floor of the aquarium. Behind us, the prep room fills completely. Anything down there, infected, sharks, or otherwise, is now sealed away behind a solid wall of water. We're in the main exhibition hall. Emergency lights reflect off the other tanks, most still intact. Fish swim peacefully, oblivious to the apocalypse. Through the massive front windows, I can see the zoo grounds. The sun is setting. Has it really only been one day? Smoke rises from several buildings. In the distance, sirens still wail. Infected shuffle through the parking lot. But they're spreading out, drawn toward the city. A flash of tawny movement catches my eye. Kenzo, stalking along the perimeter fence. But he's not alone. 3 more lions have joined him. The pride is reunited, and they are heading away from the zoo, toward the suburbs. Nature reclaiming the world. We can't stay here, Simon says quietly. He's right. Already the other tanks are showing signs of stress. Without power, their support systems will fail. And we've used our last protein bars. The staff parking lot has a back exit, Kelly offers. Most people don't know about it. My car's there. The maintenance tunnels connect to the south side, Simon adds. We could... A distant explosion cuts him off. The city is burning. No, I say, scratching Pepper's ears. No more tunnels. No more hiding. I look at my companions. Bloody, soaked, but alive. We go overground. Together. We've survived the worst zoo on Earth. We can survive out there. Kelly manages a weak smile. At least we don't have to worry about the insects exhibit anymore. Most of them need power for their climate controls. The power dies completely, plunging us into darkness. From somewhere in the building, we hear the sound of breaking glass. Another tank giving way. You were saying? Simon mutters. Run? Kelly suggests. Run! I agree. As we sprint for the exit, Pepper leading the way, I think about Marcus, about Dr. Chen, about all the people we lost today. The world has changed. Maybe humanity's time at the top of the food chain is over. But we're alive. We're together. And we're sure as hell not giving up. Behind us, the aquarium's main tank begins to crack.